that interview with the NUJ chairman, Delta State chapter, Mr. Churchill Yowe, on rebuilding public trust in the media. Now, be you a journalist, a media consumer, or just a citizen, it is our responsibility, our collective responsibility to continue to propagate and also verify information so we don't find ourselves there disseminating misinformation and disinformation. It's time now for us to bring you our newspaper review here on the morning bread. We've got for you this day newspaper, The Nation, Daily Trust, Daily Independent, The Punch, Daily Sun, and Vanguard, New Telegraph, and The Guardian. We start up with this day newspaper, and the major headline here says Rivers Assembly begins third impeachment proceedings against Fubara. We've got the riders. APC fights back, wants lawmakers. CD urges Tinubu to rein in Wike as INC, IYC warn against escalation of hostilities. Kuriwa rejects impeachment plot, and the last rider attached to that story. It's not corrective measure, it's political misadventure, group alleges. You can get details of that story on page 9 of this day newspaper. Mark, ADC reviewing its constitution for inclusiveness, accountability, and fairness. Alright. Lagos Assembly passes Sanwo-Olu's 4.4 trillion naira 2026 budget. And there is a photo speak on the front page of this day newspaper with the caption, Celebration of Labour icon Hassan Sumonu on his 85th birthday. Still more headlines from the Tuesday newspaper. NUPRC, NMDPRA deepen partnership set to resolve regulatory overlaps or other issues. And lastly, from this day newspaper, Tinubu hails corporates Nigeria, other stakeholders over NGX 100 trillion naira milestone in capital market. Two riders to that story. Tax Nigerians to deepen their investments in nation's economy. Assures 2026 will yield greater returns as government's economic reforms deliver stronger results.
Alright, the Guardian newspaper is next, and these are the headlines. Fubara may meet Tinubu as Rivers Row escalates with Assembly probe. You can find this on page 6. At the top strip, UN climate fight suffers as US exits 66 international bodies and treaties. Federal government raises 1.1 trillion naira from first 2026 Treasury bills auction. Politicians scrambling for power while Nigerians fall into poverty. Obi laments. BVN enrollment hit 67.8 million. 325 million bank accounts active. NCAA threatens stiffer sanctions over flight delays and cancellations. Golden Hour Rule. How gaps in Nigeria's emergency response compound fatalities. Tinubu rallies investors to NGX after 100 trillion naira milestone. And lastly, looking at the Guardian newspaper, it says federal government to review tariffs for industrial growth and lower production costs.
Next is the Vanguard newspaper, The Lead. Impeachment, APC, Rivers Assembly at war over Fubara deputy. We've got lots of riders here, I'll just take a few. APC, PDP factions reject impeachment move. Drop impeachment threat against Governor INC. IYC urge Assembly. PDP split as Wike scam backs Rivers Assembly. And the last rider I will take to attach to that story. ADC monitoring Rivers crisis, yet to take position. A statement coming from the spokesman. US Senate rebukes Trump over Venezuela. 141 million Nigerians poor while politicians jostle for power. That's coming from Peter Obi. Governors who defect should lose seats. Moghalu. I totally agree with that. Federal government directs shipping firms, airlines to submit manifest via national single window. Still more headlines from the Vanguard newspaper. At the front cover is a photo speak of the Rivers House of Assembly. The caption, impeachment proceedings begin in Rivers. Major Jack, House leader, reading out charges of misconduct against Governor Fubara during plenary yesterday. Nigeria attracts $14 billion foreign investments in 9 months of 2025. Oxford Dictionary adds Mami Market, Amala, other Nigerian words in glossary. Bloodbath in Benue. Rival court, gangs kill 8 in supremacy clash. Very sad commentary there. Federal government disburses AFCON bonuses to Super Eagles. The statement coming from the finance minister, so this is a very, very commendable. I hope now the boys will be highly motivated to get a win against Algeria tomorrow. Those were the headlines on the Vanguard newspaper.
The Daily Sun is next with these headlines. Tinubu hails NGX's 100 trillion naira milestone, urges more local investment in face of economic reforms. Tension in Rivers over move to impeach Governor Fubara. State APC, others tackle House of Assembly. Government is a threat to democracy. The governor is a threat to democracy. This is coming from the speaker. Still on the Daily Sun newspaper, it says Afenifere raises alarm over upsurge in terrorism in the southwest Nigeria. Challenges southwest governors to take urgent action. And lastly, Johesu Nod strikes, threaten healthcare delivery. This is coming from the MD of FMC Abuja. FMC Abeokuta resident doctors begin total strike on Monday.
Not a good one. Now the next daily we have for you is The Nation. The major headline, lawmakers, why Fubara should go. And there is a photo speak here with felicitations from Tantita Security Services Nigeria Limited to Engineer Mele Kyari on his 61st birthday. Stock market's 100 trillion naira milestone, sign of renewed confidence. Federal government explains how lowest income earners will pay zero tax. And I think this is something Nigerians would love to hear. Lagos Assembly passes 4.4 trillion naira 2026 appropriation bill. And lastly, from the Nation newspaper, Nigeria Air Force pushes for delivery of 12 fighter jets from US.
Alright, the New Telegraph is next, and it says insecurity. Afenifere decries upsurge in terror attacks in the southwest and others. The riders challenges southwest governors to take urgent action. X-ray moves by northern governors. Buratai sues ex-army general who accused him of funding terrorism. Now at the top strip it says Tinubu hails Nigeria's 100 trillion naira market capitalization, 6 more investors. And at the bottom strip it says Rivers APC rejects impeachment process against Fubara as INC, IYC, PDP kick against removal threat. And lastly, on the New Telegraph newspaper, it says higher intake of food preservatives linked to cancer risk. A study.
It's time now for us to consider the headlines from Daily Trust. The lead, how Rivers peace deal collapsed again. Kano Assembly justifies Governor Yusuf's planned defection. Afenifere decries terror, attacks in Southwest. US withdraws from ECOSOC, 65 other global organizations. 6 farmers killed in fresh plateau attack. When these attacks stop? To the top strip of the Daily Trust, inflation likely to fall below 10% in 2026. Statement coming from the Since businesses express concerns over tax rules. And lastly, from the Daily Trust, 10 children die of cholera in Taraba.
Okay, the Daily Independent newspaper is next, and it says Rivers crisis, impeachment proceedings against Fubara ill-advised. You can find this on page 29. And the writer says APC says action politically driven to destabilize state. CLO 6 restraint says there is tension in the state. Assembly's Action 3 conceived South youths. Still looking at the Daily Independent, it says field airtime, data transactions, NCC, CBN to roll out refund model. PDP releases INEC CTC report on Ekiti Uber primaries. Tinubu excited as NGX surpasses 100 trillion naira threshold, urges Nigerians to deepen investment in local economy. And lastly, looking at the Daily Independent newspaper, it says new tax laws. Insurers worry over profit erosion amid recapitalization exercise. Well, that's it on the Daily Independent newspapers.
And the last daily we have for you this morning is The Punch, and the major headline: Rivers in turmoil. APC leaders intervene as Fubara faces fresh impeachment threat. The rider Assembly accuses governor of constitutional breaches, issues seven-day ultimatum. Rivers APC faction orders back Fubara. Lagos Assembly passes 4.4 trillion naira 2026 budget. Ogun teenage boy dies during swimming. 2027 SAN leads ADC 21-man Constitution Review Committee. APC ramps up membership e-registration. Federal government earmarks 1.7 trillion naira in 2026 budget for unpaid contractors. Dangote refinery, marketers fuel deal crashes. And lastly, from the Punch newspaper, insurgency, federal government, US company planned delivery of 12 attack helicopters. That's it on the Punch newspaper. We can now head back to the studio as we are being joined by our newspaper analyst, Mr. Oni Akezi. Good morning, sir. It's good to have you.
Good morning, Ogada.
Yeah, thank you.
Happy New Year.
Alright, so let's jump into it. The big story for today apparently is what is playing out in Rivers State. It was on all the dailies we took. And let's go with how the This Day newspaper puts it. Rivers Assembly begins third impeachment proceedings against Fubara. What is it with Fubara and the Rivers State House of Assembly? Now, we've got a couple of riders. APC fights back, warns lawmakers. Now, it's interesting now that the APC, they are now fighting to support Fubara since his defection. It's not corrective measure, it's political misadventure group alleges. So, what do you have to say about all of this? Do you think that this impeachment is for the best interest of Rivers State because of some of the allegations which the majority leader of the House said it was based on gross misconduct, extra budgetary spendings, and among other things? So, do you think that it is the way they have said it, or it is beyond what is being said on camera? It has to do, like one political analyst said, has to do with the purse and who has control of the state.
Okay, thank you, Ogada. Let's look at it like this. From the point of view of what the House of Assembly has read out, those are allegations. So until they are proven beyond reasonable doubt, they remain allegations. Remember that in the impeachment process has a process. At the point of it, we involve the judiciary because the judge we have to set up the special panel of what they call judicial panel that will look at the allegations and establish a prima facie case against the person to be they want to impeach. So that is all that's about the process. But let us take it, give it a broader perspective. What is happening in Rivers State? You know, let us give it a broader context, looking at the Nigerian state. And in presidential democracies, the impeachment provision is in the constitution. But those are provisions that are rarely used. I think Costa Rica and the United States of America are the oldest presidential system in the world. You can see that Costa Rica has never even used the impeachment clause. America has only used the impeachment clause perhaps once in a century. So you see that it is a clause that is it is like the state of emergency clause. These are provisions that you exercise with forbearance. They are rarely used. They are only meant for use in very, very extreme situations.
After exhausting every other
There's in
means.
very, very extreme. So when you begin to stroke it every now and then, it becomes recklessness. It becomes recklessness. It becomes what we call it now, that's like trying to overreach the law, your power under the law. It's trying to overreach your power under the law. So, and we look at the Rivers trajectory. You know, it didn't start today, so we can give it a historical context. You know, so all that's happening in Rivers, I think Abuja enabled it. I think Abuja and the judiciary enabled it.
Why do you say that?
Because when that first time it happened, as the judiciary took it as that, I mean the Supreme Court took it as a matter of urgent public importance, and within weeks make a final pronouncement. That part, the Supreme Court is our constitutional court. It's our constitutional court, and it is not just court of justice; it's also court of policy. If the Supreme Court had moved in swiftly at that time, so within 2-3 months that matter, because the Rivers case has lingered for more than 1 year. Remember that it has led to even 6 months period of emergency, and that even the emergency period elapsed even before the Supreme Court even made a statement, you know, gave a verdict on it, and some lawyers have different, you know, perspective to the pronouncement. So it shows you in Nigeria that we are not yet in a constitutional democracy. We are still in a situation where the whims and caprices of few men, who just think that they have power at the moment, is the envy. Because if it is about democracy, come on, this won't be happening. Everybody know what is happening in Rivers State. It has been in the news. It has gone to court. The president has declared emergency and all that. But it has taken a new twist now, because when at the previous decision, the governor was still in PDP. So it was about PDP and APC.
Is it fair to say it's about PDP and APC?
As of that time. Now,
Even Wike does not belong to the
no, but at least the APC, majority of APC people welcomed what was happening to Fubara in that time. At least APC structure welcomed it. But now Fubara has gone to APC. So if you go to some people say that his defection is a political master stroke. And then, okay, I am here now. you were threatening me with the power of Abuja, because Abuja is the government at the center. APCs are the government of at the center. I have joined that center, and from the response from the APC, we just read out, you can see that yes, those who said it was Fubara's master stroke, I think they are being proven right, because like Fubara said, when he was immersed in that antagonism, that the PDP he belonged to that time did not even adequately chase out for him. They didn't fight. They didn't chase out for him. So, but you can see the APC now. They are prompt in giving, So he's sure he's going to receive the backing, the protection of the party. So it is unfortunate that this is what our democracy is. But like what I said, one of my posts yesterday, as we are going to 2027, these are the matters. In democracies, it is the citizens that set agenda. But in our own, the citizens don't set agenda. The citizens are looking. Most of the citizens are the difference between us and the power people at the arena right now is the distance. You are going to see the majority of us. What we are complaining about. If we get opportunity to get into that arena, we are most likely to do. We are not most likely to do things differently. So what Nigeria needs is, how are we going to get men who are going to do things differently? And that is the agenda we should be setting. We are not talking about tax reform, GDP growth, foreign direct investment, inflow statistics. We are not saying that those metrics are meaningless. But I think that at the moment, they are insignificant. They are insignificant. We should be talking about those who are going to, we should be setting agenda that our nation is broken internally. We don't seem to be in a democracy. Our democracy seems to be a farce. We are not governed by the rule of law. We are governed by the might of men. So that the agenda we should be setting for those who are coming next, there should be a shift. We should be talking about who are the men and women who have demonstrated that they have the capacity to be exemplary leaders, that they have the capacity to lead by tolerance, by forbearance, not by domination, not by threat, and not by macho madness, not by hatchet displays. So those are the things that should preoccupy us as we go to the next general election. By finding what we're seeing the politicians are playing out again.
So away from what's happening in Rivers State, the Guardian puts this one this way. It says NCAA threatens stiffer sanctions over flight delay cancellation, and this was given by the NCAA spokesperson at Shimoku, because there's been incessant delays in flight and cancellation, to the point that about 2 days ago, flight was delayed for about 24 hours in one of the states in Nigeria here. So what's your take on it?
Of course, it says it's a regulatory mandate. So, you see, this is what we're talking about. Agencies of government. You see, like I said, we concentrate so much on what the president has done and not done, what the governor has done and not done. We don't look at other institutions. We don't look at other institutions. All of us were just thinking who the governor has favored and who has not favored the projects, and that is not all about what citizens. Those are not alone what citizens should concern themselves. These are the kind of Fatango. We're talking about MCCA and flight delay. Who talks about the road transportation? What happens? What's the consumer rights of commuters? Who talks about it? What transport companies? how they treat the kind of services they give. Nobody talks about it. Is there not such a government agency that should even be look at some of the carnage you have on our roads? Some of them are due to the recklessness of drivers. So our road transportation has been left almost entirely to the views and caprices of National Union of Road Transport. National Union of Road Transport is not a regulatory agency. It's a trade union. It's a trade union. This should be doing about the welfare and issues of their members, not the government regulatory. They virtually run our parks. So this, what SDA is saying, of course, it should be welcome. We want to see them on top of the game, on top of their regulatory mandate, like every other agencies of government. It shouldn't be anything less than that.
Alright, so let's consider headlines going back to the political front from the Vanguard newspaper. Mogalo saying governors who defect should lose their seats. What do you think about that? Like it also ties with the 2023 presidential candidate of the Labour Party who has now moved to the ADC, Peter Obi, saying 144 million Nigerians poor, while politicians jostle for power. Look at this with everything also happening in the ADC, where they are talking about reviewing their constitution, and the likes of Atiku Abubakar, the spokesperson, has come out to say that Atiku Abubakar has the right to run for presidency and would likely be part of those coming out in the primaries of the ADC.
Those are topics I don't like discussing.
Public affairs analyst.
Yeah, but these are I do things that are strictly my attention goes to things are strictly public, matter. And these are what I'm going to do. You know if I'm going to run for presidency?
Well, when you make the headlines, we'll discuss it.
Fine. So if Atiku is going to run, you can only wish him the best. Whatever is happening in ADC, fine. We want Nigeria is a multi-party democracy.
So, and you don't have an issue with the gentleman agreement?
No. Why should I have if I have an issue, what does it end up at? If like Mogalo, we have talked about what Mogalo is expressing is an opinion that governors should defect. If you want to take it beyond opinion, we should have people, citizens, there are what we call public interest litigation. To go to court to say that the Constitution says that when you decamp or defect, you lose your seat. Let's test it in court. It's not about me coming here on set to say it and it ends there. That is what Olarotimi call holding talks. This democracy does not work by just holding talks. We test the law. We test the law. We organize. We do what we call the citizens engagement. So let's organize ourselves and go to court and say this is if we are sure of what the Constitution says. Let's challenge it and let the Supreme Court, the Constitutional Court of the land, said make a pronouncement and let's see what happens.
So now you talked about Mogalo's point being an opinion, and let me get your opinion on this north-south rotation of presidency. Is it something you're not in support of? When you consider...
Listen. The north-south rotation, or whatever rotational formula. I told you here that it's not everything that is written in the Constitution.
Yes.
That even the things that have, from my knowledge of political history, the democracies that have worked, the things that have held them, that have served as the backbone of their democracy being enduring, they are not in the Constitution. They are the norms and values they have internalized and has become their culture. So, and because it have worked for them. So, they are ethical things. So, if we think that to give a sense of belonging, that we want to enhance, to enable national integration, inclusivity and sense of belonging, that there's the rotation, the presidency or sharing of offices is something that will give us a sense of belonging, because it has worked for us. If I saw in the last 2023 election, no single candidate from Delta, aspirant from any political party, from Delta State, from Delta North, aspired to contest for the governorship of Delta State. Did you observe it? So you see that it helps to stabilize the polity. It means that the people, the political, we are not saying now one party, all the parties. So we are seeing that it has become, it's something we can take it for granted that at that level, up to that point, that it's something that has been internalized. And we have seen the outcome, and it enhanced, it helps to stabilize. So that is what I can say, that yes, this is not constitutional, and I don't expect everything to be constitutional. No constitution in the world has provided for all contingencies, but what matters, that is why it is important. I will remember now, there was President of America that he said that the greatest, the beauty of power is in not using it. We know that you have this power, you have the power of life and death, but you choose not to act as somebody who has the power of life and death. That is forbearance. That is forbearance. So, and that is wisdom. That is the greatest virtue, that is the greatest thing that somebody who sits at. So we say God is God of mercy. If God punishes all for all our sins, would any of us remember what St. Augustine of Hippo said? He said in his book, The City of God, he said that we are all sinners. We only choose the type of sin to commit. That was his thesis in The City of God. So you cannot exercise power without forbearance. You cannot live together. You cannot. Incidentally, by nature, God created us sociologically as community beings, meaning we cannot live as an island unto ourselves. We are interdependent. And for us to flourish as a community, there must be tolerance. You can't do without it. There must be tolerance, we must be guided by forbearance. And that is, when there is tolerance and forbearance, what you will see is love. That is the meaning of love. Yes, it's not that you have not offended me, but I am ready to let it go, and you should be able to reciprocate. I have done this to this person, but at least look at how he didn't respond to me for tit for tat. That is the only way you can have harmony in society.
Because these are conversations that we can have, but I think even Peter Israeli mate has also declared that in Papa.
Yes.
He
want to run.
So
Yes.
I'm seeing Northerners getting highly involved in this race.
Yes.
Now, what does it mean for the political stability of the country? And also, when you consider Atiku Abubakar, are you next year? He will be in his 80s. Are you someone that also considers age that the older people should step, and especially limiting it to Nigeria? Because I know in other parts of the world there are older persons in positions of authority. But when you consider the advanced in Nigeria, do you think it's high time they just take the back seat and become more like elder statesmen and all of that?
Okay. You see, I think there is in terms of running for political office, there is age. That is the lower limit.
Yes.
The age for political. That there is no upper limit. So I think what matters is, are you healthy? Because you can see somebody who is in his 70s or who is even 80 is healthier than somebody in his 60s. So it depends on whom you physically, your physical fitness and your state of your health. So if at 80, if at 80 you are physically fit, and I mean in all ramification, mentally and physically fit, and you have what it takes to lead a society or a nation, so be it. But again, it will also be an indictment on I am not, in fact, I was never a protagonist of the not too young to run, because there's nothing that can bad you. But to come and say everybody who is of this age should go so that you come in, I don't subscribe to it, because I have seen young people who are in office, in fact, who turned out to be disaster. So it is not about being young. It is about what values do you live for? Who are you? What is your training? What is your antecedents? So because we want young people, we should open the political, because it is money. The Yahoo boys have money, so they should be the one to come and govern. So we should broaden the horizon of the narrative and the perspectives to these conversations. It is not strictly about, yes, age counts. Age counts. I won't dismiss that entirely, but it should not be the overriding criteria.
I think that
it should not be the overriding criteria.
Is the lack of transparency sometimes when it comes to the medical fitness of this person's running for power, because we've seen situations where we're voting presidents that seemingly before election they declare them as being physically fit, but they come into office and they start embarking on medical tourism.
Wow, Ogaga. So when I was talking about mental and medical fitness, I'm not talking on paper.
So how do we
see
so
health?
Our system.
Our health are like knowledge. You can go to school and forge certificates, but you cannot forge knowledge. You can't forge knowledge. You can forge knowledge. So the man who is healthy, the man who is physically fit, is known. Forget about going to doctor and doctor. No, that's not physical fitness. If, see, in democracies, political parties are fundamental institutions because they are the gatekeepers. It is at political parties we don't have independent candidates. It is at the political party that you filter out. Unfortunately, I think we have commoditized our political party tickets. So you see that it is perhaps most of the time it is not really, the political party do not even really do that filtering, that role of filtering, that gatekeeping role, that you filter out and make sure that only loyal Democrats get to the ticket, get to the ballot. But so it is when the parties do that filtering role, play that filtering role, play that gatekeepers role. All of us they attend meeting now. We're not saying that would they help you to stand up from chair. We should know who is healthy, who is not. Yes, Ogaga is a very good man, but he's very intelligent. But we can see that
Age is creeping.
the age is creeping. We can say, Bonnie would have done very well about age, but he will still have a role to play. He must not always be on the seat where you have the instrument or where you begin to be the dispenser of benevolence. No. There are so many other ways to serve.
Okay, looking at the Daily Sun, this one is upon us. It says Johesu and NAD strike threaten healthcare delivery. This is coming from FMC Abuja MD. And the writer says FMC Abeokuta resident doctors to begin total
one thing you have to even if you, I know you are far younger. I started following the media in the 80s when I was in secondary school. Not in secondary school. In the early 90s, I don't think there was ever a day. I don't think there was the what do you call it? Newswatch and later Tale magazine edition that I didn't buy. At the time when my late elder brother noticed it, sometimes he would just buy for me, So even when I was in the university, from my mega reason, one thing I never missed was to buy magazines to read. So it was through that time I came to know about the classification of doctors, because the doctor strike was a recurrent decimal. So I asked myself, a problem has been there from at least when I knew, from the mid 80s, like 87, 88, down to when 2026, we have not been able to find a solution. Are we likening it to the Irish question when Lord Gladstone, Prime Minister of Britain, said that each time I find a solution to the Irish question matter, they will change the question. Is that the situation we have? What is it about? If you read through the verse, most of the time they talk of agreements, MOUs entered into that was not implemented. Why will you go and enter into an MOU that you are not going to implement?
Then the administration will
For
say
goodness
we're
sake.
not the ones that were in power when
So
the
it
MOU
seems
was
like
No. If
fresh.
you enter the agreement, why do the successive governments benefit from the policies enacted by the previous government? Why? Why do they complete projects done by the previous
So
government?
it's because they want to
Why-
inherit assets and
Why
other
do they
activities.
use offices? We have said it all. So if there's an agreement entered, it is not President Jonathan or President Obasanjo or President Buhari. It is the federal government of Nigeria. It is the federal government of Nigeria. The president, the minister was only acted as an agent of. It is an agency thing. It just only acted for and on behalf of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. The entity entering into the agreement, into the MOU, is when you the president or the executive of the National Association of Resident Doctors, were they the ones who were there? The people the executive who were part of that maybe tripartite conversation that led to they must have served out their tenure and gone. But that is not to say that the people who are now will start all afresh. It doesn't make any sense administratively, So what are we asking? So you can see it pervades everywhere. It pervades it. Before we know it, the ASUS bone is always there. It's recurrent. In my days in the university, were lost a whole a year. One of our academic sessions, I think that was 1994 academic session, was cancelled. No, there's 93-94 section was cancelled because of ASU strike. So what are we talking about? So what we should be now? We at the analyzing this thing, we have opportunity to come to this because what is the role of the media is to inform, to educate, and to disseminate information. Right? So what we should be talking now is we should be studying what exactly is making this thing, has kept this thing as a recurrent lexicon. So that even when able to, maybe tomorrow now they will say they have suspended this, because what we now hear is that they no longer call us strike. We suspend it. It's a technical extent that, to evade that law that say before you go on strike, you give such and such number days of notice and a reminder. So they just suspend the strike so that they are not declaring a fresh strike. They are resuming an ongoing strike that was suspended. They say that the Chinua Achebe said that Naked Debate said that his men have learned how to shoot without missing. Itself has also learned how to fly without pitching. So, but that is not what is going to move our country forward. When you use tricks during negotiations, or you use subterfuge, you are only postponing the evil day. You don't just want to move. We don't just want to move onward without moving forward. We don't just want to move onward without moving forward. So so that's why I'm saying, as we're going towards 2020 election, these are the things. What are these institutional lacunas? What are the things, our mind should not just be how to raise money. Yes, it's good to raise money. But these things, these things that fractures us from within, these centrifugal forces that pull the nation, we need to see how we can fix them, so that we will not continue to gravitate around this insecurity, this harmony, this articulation, so that we will be on the path, so that it will not be one step forward, 2 steps backward.
All right, thank you very much, Mr. Bonnie Akieze, for your analysis. As always, really do appreciate your time. I think this is a good place for us to end it on the Conrad Virtual Program.
Take it one step at a time. The year is just beginning. Don't be too hard on yourself. Okay?
All right, so I'll just leave with some things we have taken from the paper. 2027 is the year of election, and of course, the campaign has begun in full gear. And this is a call to all Nigerians, a call to you, the electorate, to play your role, and for the well-informed like us, always ensure to use your platform to sensitize people so we can bring the right people and people with a willing mind to serve into power. On behalf of the production crew, it is I, Ogaga,